My beloved child, listen very carefully. This moment is not random, and this message did not find you by accident. What you are feeling right now, that sudden pause in your spirit, that heaviness mixed with urgency, is the signal you were meant to receive. Heaven hath been watching quietly for a long time, giving signs, offering grace, extending mercy again and again. But today, the atmosphere has shifted. The silence has ended. This is not entertainment. This is not just another video. This is a divine interruption. Right now, God is looking directly at your life, not at the version you show people, but at the hidden rooms of your heart. And beside him stands Archangel Michael, sword drawn, not in chaos, not in emotion, but in righteous authority. Their patience has reached its final boundary, not because they desire punishment, but because delay is now more dangerous than correction. Hear this clearly. What is coming next is not small, and it is not slow. For months, some of you for years, you have been sensing that something is off. Doors that once opened easily began to resist you. Relationships started to strain without explanation. Sleep became lighter. Thoughts became louder at night. This was not coincidence. These were warnings wrapped in mercy. Gentle taps before a firm knock. But many ignored the signs. Now, the warning has become a message, and the message has found you. Archangel Michael steps forward in this hour as a divine enforcer of truth. He does not come to negotiate with disobedience. He does not come to debate delay. He comes to separate what is aligned from what is not. And if something in your life has been built on compromise, avoidance, or half-obedience, it cannot remain hidden any longer. This is why the urgency feels so strong. You were allowed time to correct quietly. You were given chances to walk away peacefully. You were invited to listen in the stillness. But now heaven speaks aloud, because the next phase of your life cannot begin until the current disorder is addressed. God is not angry the way humans are angry. This is not rage. This is holy resolve. It is the moment a loving father steps in firmly because softness would now cause harm. And Archangel Michael mirrors that resolve, standing guard over divine order, ready to act where boundaries have been crossed for too long. Some of you are connected to environments that drain your spirit. Others are holding on to habits that God already told you to release. A few of you are living comfortably with something you were warned about repeatedly. And heaven is saying, enough. This message will vanish from your awareness as quickly as it came, but what you do with it will echo for years. Do not assume you will come back to this later. Later is the illusion that keeps destiny delayed. This is why the warning is sharp. This is why the tone is serious. This is why you felt compelled to watch instead of scrolling away. There are consequences to alignment, and there are consequences to ignoring divine instruction. Neutrality is no longer an option. Archangel Michael is not here to frighten you. He is here to protect what God has planned for you. But protection sometimes requires removal, separation, exposure, and yes, responsibility. Some truths will come to light suddenly. Some masks will fall without warning. Some structures, emotional, spiritual, even physical, will no longer be supported by heaven if they were never approved in the first place. This is not loss. This is correction before collapse. God would rather interrupt you now than rescue you later. If you feel uncomfortable hearing this, the discomfort is not condemnation. It is conviction. And conviction is proof that God is still reaching for you. The danger is not in feeling exposed. The danger is in pretending you did not hear. Archangel Michael is watching how you respond to this moment. Not with fear, but with obedience. Not with excuses, but with humility. What you choose after this message determines whether what follows becomes protection or pressure. This is why you were warned that this is not a coincidence. This is why the urgency feels so real. This is why your spirit knows this is serious. Do not test patience that has already been stretched in mercy. Do not dismiss instruction that arrives wrapped in love but delivered with authority. The next steps in your life depend on what you do immediately after this. Pause. Reflect. Decide. Heaven is waiting. Chosen one, steady your heart and open your understanding, because what is unfolding now requires maturity, not emotion. The weight you feel is not meant to crush you. It is meant to wake you. Heaven is not shouting to scare you. Heaven is speaking clearly because confusion has overstayed its welcome in your life. There is a line that was crossed quietly, not in one dramatic moment, but in small permissions you allowed, small compromises, small delays. Each one felt harmless at the time, but in the spiritual realm, accumulation matters. And now, the account is being reviewed. God has watched you wrestle between obedience and comfort. He has seen you pray for clarity while avoiding the answer you already received. And standing beside him, Archangel Michael has marked the patterns where truth was postponed, where discipline was softened, where responsibility was shifted onto others. Understand this. Patience running out does not mean love running out. It means the season of gentle reminders has ended. There are things you have been asking God to fix that He has been waiting for you to confront. You prayed for peace but held on to chaos. You asked for protection but kept doors open that should have been shut. You asked for elevation but resisted the correction required to carry it. This is why the tone has changed. Archangel Michael's presence now is strategic. He is a sign when boundaries must be enforced and order must be restored. He comes when delay would cost more than action. That is why some of you will notice sudden shifts, unexpected conversations, unplanned endings, abrupt realizations. These are not attacks. These are interventions. Do not fight what is trying to free you. God is removing the illusion that you have more time. Time is a gift, not a guarantee. And when heaven sees destiny being delayed by indecision, it steps in with authority. Not to harm you, but to realign you. Some of you are about to be exposed, not publicly, but internally. You will no longer be able to lie to yourself. The excuses that once comforted you will feel empty. The distractions that once worked will lose their effect. This is mercy in action. Others will see external exposure. Truths that were hidden will surface. Not to shame you, but to stop further damage. When God exposes, He does it to heal. When Archangel Michael steps in, He ensures that what is false cannot continue pretending to be safe. Pay attention to what is being highlighted in your life right now. The repeated thought, the recurring discomfort, the situation you keep revisiting in your mind. That is where obedience is required. This message carries responsibility because revelation always does. Once you see, you cannot unsee. Once you hear, you are accountable for your response. Ignorance is no longer an excuse after clarity arrives. And clarity has arrived. Let me say this gently but firmly. If you ignore this moment, the consequences will not come from God's anger. They will come from your delay. Heaven will not chase you forever when it has already warned you clearly. But if you respond, if you choose alignment over comfort, obedience over ego, humility over defense, what comes next will feel like relief. The pressure you've been carrying will lift. The confusion will settle. The resistance will break. This is the fork in the road. Right now, your attention matters. Your decision matters. Even your posture matters. Are you listening to understand or listening to dismiss? Are you receiving or just enduring until the video ends? If this message is stirring something deep within you, do not keep it to yourself. Engage with it. Let it mark you. Share it with someone who needs a wake-up call. Let your response be visible, because obedience strengthens when it is declared. Take a moment to support this space as well. Like this message, leave a comment, and stand with this channel by subscribing and joining the mission. When you participate, you are not just clicking buttons. You are aligning yourself with the flow of truth being released here. Your engagement helps this warning reach those who are still asleep. Archangel Michael honors action. Heaven responds to movement. And before you let your mind wander or your thumb drift away, stay with this. Because what unfolds next explains exactly what is being removed from your life and why it must happen now. Trust me, this is where everything starts to make sense. My precious one, breathe for a moment, because what you are about to understand will shift how you see everything that has been happening around you. What felt like pressure was not punishment. What felt like resistance was not rejection. It was preparation through confrontation. Heaven does not correct what it plans to discard. It corrects what it plans to use. God has been watching how you respond under tension. Not your words, not your prayers, but your reactions when things did not go your way. And Archangel Michael has been standing close, observing whether you would cling to control or surrender to truth. This is where many fail without realizing it. You assume delay meant denial. You assume silence meant absence. But in reality, God was measuring your readiness. Because the next assignment connected to your life carries weight, and weight requires alignment. Anything misaligned becomes dangerous when lifted higher. There are patterns in your life that heaven has tolerated until now. Emotional patterns, thought patterns, relationship patterns. Not because they were acceptable, but because you needed time to recognize them yourself. Forced awareness creates rebellion. Chosen awareness creates transformation. Now the season of choice has arrived. Archangel Michael is revealing what has been quietly draining you. Some connections looked supportive but were feeding off your energy. Some routines felt normal but were keeping you spiritually dull. Some internal agreements you made long ago about your worth, your limits, your future were never spoken aloud, yet they shaped your decisions. God is saying, those agreements expire now. This is why you may feel an inner resistance rising. Not fear, resistance. Something in you knows change is required, but another part of you wants familiarity. Heaven understands this struggle, but it will not negotiate with it. What is being removed is not meant to harm you. It is meant to restore your authority. Understand this clearly. Exposure does not always come through others. Sometimes God exposes you to yourself. And when that happens, you can no longer pretend you don't know. That moment, right there, is sacred. It is where destiny pivots. Archangel Michael stands as a guardian of that pivot point. Some of you are about to walk away from situations you once begged God to fix. Others will stop explaining yourselves to people who were never meant to understand you. A few of you will finally release guilt that was never yours to carry. These shifts may feel sudden, but they have been forming quietly for a long time. Do not rush the discomfort. Discomfort is the doorway. God is not asking you to be perfect. He is asking you to be honest. Honest about what no longer works. Honest about what you've outgrown. honest about what you are afraid to release because it once kept you safe. Safety and calling are not the same thing. This is why Archangel Michael's presence feels firm but calm. He does not come to argue. He comes to enforce divine order so peace can return. When order is restored, clarity follows. When clarity follows, movement becomes easy. You are not losing your way. You are shedding weight. And here is the part many don't expect. Once you agree internally with what God is showing you, things will start to move quickly. Conversations will align. Opportunities will reposition. Your energy will return. Sleep will feel deeper. Decisions will feel lighter. But this acceleration only happens after agreement. Heaven responds to alignment faster than effort. If you are wondering why this message feels personal, it is because it is. God does not broadcast warnings randomly. He sends them precisely. And Archangel Michael does not stand guard over unimportant moments. He is present when destiny is being protected from sabotage, especially self-sabotage. Right now, you are being invited to step into a higher level of responsibility. Not pressure, responsibility. Responsibility over your thoughts, your reactions, your time, your yes then your no. This invitation will not repeat itself the same way again. Honor this moment by choosing awareness over avoidance, courage over comfort, truth over habit. When you do, you will realize that what you feared losing was actually what had been limiting you all along. Pause for a second and let this settle. If this message is speaking directly to your spirit, do not ignore that stirring. Type "I receive divine order" in the comments if you accept this alignment. Lesson code 947 is being released over those who respond in obedience. This message exists so others can awaken before confusion hardens into regret. When you support this mission, through super thanks, membership, or giving through PayPal in the description, you are not funding content, you are fueling deliverance. As you sow, God says He releases light into homes that have been silent too long. I am speaking directly to you now. This is your moment to respond, not later. What you release from your hand, heaven multiplies as protection and clarity over your life. Obey this nudge, because rivers open for those who move when called. Give now, and may divine order rest upon everything connected to you. My beloved one, now that your eyes are opening, you must understand what truly shifts after awareness arrives. Awakening is not a feeling, it is a responsibility. Once God pulls back the veil, you are no longer permitted to live the same way you did before. This is where many misunderstand divine encounters. I want the comfort of revelation without the cost of transformation. But heaven does not work that way. Archangel Michael remains near, not because danger is increasing, but because movement is required. When clarity enters, stagnation becomes disobedience. You may notice an inner urgency rising, not panic, not fear, but a deep knowing that something must change now, not someday. This is the stage where excuses grow loud. Your mind may begin offering reasons to delay. Let me finish this first. Let me wait until things calm down. I'll deal with this later. But understand this clearly. Later is no longer protected. Grace covered delay before awareness. After awareness, delay becomes a choice. God is watching what you choose. Here's a difference between being patient and being passive. Patience trusts God's timing. Passivity avoids God's instruction. And Archangel Michael is present to confront that difference in your life. Some of you are standing at the edge of a necessary ending. Not an ending born of loss, but an ending required for growth. Certain seasons cannot coexist with where you are being taken. Carrying them forward would fracture what God is building in you. This is why you may feel torn. Part of you wants to move forward, and another part wants to preserve what is familiar. Familiarity feels safe, even when it is unfruitful. But safety that stunts growth eventually becomes a cage. God is not removing things to empty you. He is removing them to prepare space. Archangel Michael enforces separation when attachment threatens destiny. Not because attachment is sinful, but because misaligned attachment becomes an anchor. And you cannot ascend while dragging anchors meant for a lower depth. Pay attention to what feels heavy lately. Not emotionally heavy, spiritually heavy. The thing you avoid thinking about. The decision you keep postponing. The conversation you keep rehearsing but never having. That is where heaven is pointing. This is not about doing more. It is about releasing what no longer belongs. Some of you have been carrying responsibility that was never assigned to you. Fixing people. Managing outcomes. Holding together systems that God never asked you to sustain. That burden is not noble. It is misplacement. And heaven is calling it out now. Archangel Michael does not partner with confusion. He restores order by clarifying roles. What is yours to carry will feel like once everything else is set down. You are allowed to say no without explanation. You are allowed to walk away without defending yourself. You are allowed to choose obedience even when it costs you approval. God is not impressed by sacrifice He did not request. Here is something important. Resistance may increase right before release. When misaligned structures sense they are losing control, they push back. That pushback is not a sign you are wrong. It is confirmation that the shift is real. Do not interpret resistance as failure. If things feel tense, it is because pressure is being redistributed. The weight is moving off you and onto truth. That process can feel uncomfortable, but it is temporary. Archangel Michael's role here is to ensure that the transition is clean. No unnecessary damage. And no lingering attachments. No spiritual residue that could follow you into the next phase. Trust the precision of this moment. You are not being rushed. You are being aligned. God knows exactly how much you can handle, and He would not initiate this shift if you were not ready. The strength you need is already present. You just haven't had to use it at this level before. Stop underestimating what heaven has placed inside you. What comes after this season will require clarity, not confusion. Authority, not hesitation. Discernment, not emotional reaction. This is why the pruning feels intentional. Nothing random is happening. If you remain still long enough to listen, you will feel peace beneath the pressure. That peace is your confirmation. Let go of the idea that obedience must feel dramatic. Sometimes obedience is quiet, a private decision, a boundary set internally, a thought pattern released without announcement. Heaven sees those moments. Archangel Michael honors quiet courage just as much as public faith. As this message continues to unfold, you will begin to recognize why certain things had to end, why certain doors stayed closed, and why this moment arrived exactly when it did. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was delayed without purpose. You are not late. You are not behind. You are right on time. Beloved soul, now comes the moment where truth settles deeper than emotion. What you felt before was awakening. What you feel now is alignment beginning to take shape. This is the phase where heaven stops explaining and starts positioning. Words become fewer, but movements become clearer. God is no longer trying to convince you. He is watching how you walk with what you already know. There is a sacred difference between hearing a message and embodying it. Many hear, If you adjust, this is why Archangel Michael remains present, not as a threat, but as reinforcement. When heaven sees willingness, it sends strength. When heaven sees surrender, it releases order. Right now, something subtle but powerful is shifting inside you. Your tolerance for confusion is decreasing. Your patience for excuses, especially your own, is thinning. What once felt acceptable now feels misaligned. This is not judgment. This is discernment being activated. Do not fight that clarity. God is recalibrating your inner compass. For a long time, you navigated by emotion, pressure, and external validation. Now you are being trained to move by conviction. Conviction does not shout. It settles. It angers. It does not need approval to function. This is why certain voices around you may begin to sound distant. Advice that once influenced you may no longer land. Opinions that once swayed you may feel irrelevant. This is not pride. It is focus. Archangel Michael protects focus fiercely. Heaven is narrowing your path, not to limit you, but to protect you from distraction. Wide paths invite confusion. Narrow paths preserve momentum. You are being guided into precision. Some of you will notice that opportunities that look good are being withheld. Do not interpret that as rejection. God is filtering options because not everything good is aligned. And alignment matters more now than speed. You are entering a season where one wrong attachment could cost you clarity. This is also why emotional reactions are being confronted. Overreacting, over-explaining, overextending. These habits drain authority. God is teaching you restraint, not silence but discernment. Not withdrawal but wisdom. Power does not rush to speak. Power chooses when. Archangel Michael embodies this discipline. He does not swing his sword wildly. He waits for alignment, then acts with precision. That same discipline is being imparted to you now. Pay attention to your reactions this week. Not what happens to you, but how you respond. That is where growth is taking place. You are learning to pause before agreeing, to observe before engaging, to listen before committing. This pause is holy. God is creating space between impulse and action so you can move with intention. This is how maturity forms. This is how destiny is protected. Some of you may feel lonely in this phase, not because you are alone, but because you are changing faster than your environment. Familiar connections may not resonate the same way. Conversations may feel shallow. This is temporary. You not downgrade your awareness to fit where you've outgrown. Heaven often isolates briefly before elevating publicly. Isolation is not abandonment. It is refinement. It reduces noise so instruction can be heard clearly. And hear this clearly now. You are not being tested to fail. You are being trained to lead. First yourself, then others by example. Leadership begins with self-governance. God trusts you more than you trust yourself right now. That is why responsibility is increasing internally. Not pressure from outside, but accountability within. You will begin to feel when something is off without needing proof. That is discernment awakening. Archangel Michael stands watch over that gift. Do not ignore it. Do not rationalize it away. Discernment grows with use. The more you honor it, the sharper it becomes. This phase may not come with dramatic signs. No thunder. No public announcements. Just quiet decisions that reshape your future. A boundary here. A release there. A firm no where you once said yes. These small shifts carry massive impact. Heaven moves through obedience that looks ordinary, but is spiritually precise. If you feel tired, rest, but do not retreat. Rest restores strength. Retreat delays purpose. There is a difference. God is not asking for burnout. He's asking for consistency. Even when clarity feels heavy, stay anchored. Archangel Michael does not leave his post because the watch is long. He remains because protection is required. That same steadiness is being built in you. You are becoming someone who does not panic when things shift. Someone who does not collapse when plans change. Someone who remains rooted when pressure rises. This is the fruit of alignment. What is ahead will require this stability. And that is why heaven is taking its time with you now. Precision takes patience. Strength takes formation. Stay with this process. My chosen one, this is the phase where movement becomes visible, not to everyone, but to you. What was internal is beginning to express itself through decisions, boundaries, and direction. This is where heaven watches closely, because alignment without action is incomplete. God is not looking for perfection. He's looking for consistency. You may notice that situations are presenting themselves more clearly now. Less confusion. Fewer mixed signals. Things feel exposed, either right or wrong, lined or misaligned. This is intentional. Ambiguity no longer serves you. Precision does. Archangel Michael remains present because clarity invites action, and action attracts resistance. Not always external resistance, sometimes internal. Old habits will try to reassert themselves. Old thought patterns may attempt to negotiate. Old fears may whisper familiar lies. Do not engage them. You have already outgrown the version of yourself that needed those coping mechanisms. They once protected you, but now they restrict you. And heaven is not allowing restriction to masquerade as safety anymore. This is where discipline matters. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is devotion in motion. It is choosing alignment even when no one is watching. It is honoring instruction when it would be easier to ignore it. And every time you choose discipline, authority increases. God is strengthening your spiritual posture. You are being taught to stand without leaning on approval, to move without explaining every step, to trust instruction even when the outcome is not fully visible yet. This is faith in its mature form. Archangel Michael honors this kind of faith. You may feel a strange mix of calm and pressure. Calm because you know you are on the right path. Pressure because responsibility has increased. This combination is a sign of growth, not danger. Do not rush to escape the pressure. Who shapes perceive. Some of you are stepping into roles you never imagined for yourself. Not titles, roles of influence. People may begin to listen differently, observe you more closely, seek your perspective. This is not accidental. Alignment attracts attention. Be mindful of how you steward it. Heaven is teaching you restraint so that influence does not become ego. Authority without humility collapses. God is protecting you from that by slowing certain things down while sharpening others. If doors are opening gradually, thank God. Sudden access without preparation destroys more than it builds. This season rewards patience with clarity. There may be moments where you feel misunderstood, where doing the right thing costs you comfort, where obedience isolates you briefly. Do not confuse isolation with abandonment. God often removes noise so focus can deepen. Archangel Michael stands guard during these quieter moments, ensuring that nothing meant for distraction can interfere. You are learning to trust your discernment even when it leads you away from familiarity. That takes courage. Heaven sees it. Now hear this carefully. Your response to small instructions determines access to larger ones. How you handle the subtle nudges reveals readiness for greater responsibility. Pay attention to the small things. The pause before responding. The decision to step back instead of reacting. The boundary you enforce internally without announcing it. These moments shape destiny. If this message has been guiding you, grounding you, or awakening something deeper, acknowledge it. Engage with it. Like this message, leave a comment declaring alignment, share it with someone who needs direction, and stand with this channel by subscribing and joining the mission. Your participation strengthens the reach of truth and keeps this flow active. And before your attention drifts, stay connected, because what unfolds next reveals why certain doors are about to close permanently and why that closure is necessary for what God is about to release. Trust me, this is where the picture becomes clear. God is not asking you to do everything at once. He is asking you to do the next right thing with intention. Archangel Michael reinforces order when intention aligns with obedience. That is happening now. Let go of the pressure to prove anything. Your life will speak for itself soon enough. Focus on alignment, and impact will follow naturally. This phase is not about speed. It is about stability. Remain steady. Remain attentive. Remain willing. Beloved one, now we enter a quieter but more decisive stretch of this journey. The noise has reduced, the urgency has softened, and what remains is truth standing alone. Without emotion, without pressure, without explanation. This is where many lose focus because the intensity fades and familiarity tries to return. But do not be mistaken. This is not the end of the warning. This is the moment it becomes real. God has already spoken. Now he is watching. Archangel Michael stands not in front of you, but beside you. No longer blocking, no longer confronting, but observing how you walk when guidance is no longer loud. This phase reveals maturity. It answers one question heaven always asks after revelation. Will you live what you heard? You may notice that life feels almost normal again. The heaviness has lifted slightly. The urgency has quieted. This is intentional. God is testing consistency, not reaction. Anyone can respond when pressure is high. Alignment is proven when things feel calm. Do not relax your discernment. Old invitations may resurface. Familiar distractions may knock again. Situations you thought were settled may attempt to reopen themselves. This is not coincidence. It is confirmation. What you released is checking whether you meant it. You are not required to fight. You are not required to explain. You are required to choose. Archangel Michael honors quiet resolve more than dramatic resistance. Sometimes obedience is as simple as not returning to what you already outgrew. God is observing how you steward peace. Peace is not the absence of challenge, it is the presence of order. And order must be maintained. You maintain it by guarding your thoughts, your time, and your access. Not everyone deserves proximity to the version of you that is being refined. This is where boundaries become internal, not announced. You will notice that you are less reactive now. Things that once triggered you no longer hook you the same way. That is growth. You not go searching for intensity to feel alive again. Peace is not boredom. Peace is strength under control. Many people abandon peace because it feels unfamiliar. Do not make that mistake. God is building endurance in you. Endurance is what carries calling through seasons when applause is absent and instruction feels repetitive. This is not glamorous work, but it is essential. Archangel Michael protects those who protect order. Be careful not to romanticize your past struggles. Do not confuse chaos with passion. The season you are entering requires clarity, not adrenaline. What God is forming now will last longer than what emotion ever could. There is something important happening beneath the surface. Your identity is stabilizing. You are no longer shifting based on environment. You are no longer absorbing the moods of others. You are beginning to move from who you are, not from what surrounds you. This is authority taking root. With that authority comes responsibility. You will be tempted to step back into old roles out of familiarity. Rescuer, fixer, appeaser, overgiver. Resist that temptation. Those roles serve the version of you that no longer exists. God is not calling you to disappear. He is calling you to be precise. Precision requires saying less, not more. Doing less, but doing it intentionally. Showing up fully, not everywhere. Archangel Michael's discipline is being mirrored in you now. You may feel moments of doubt, not loud but subtle. Thoughts like, am I really changing? Or was all of this necessary? These thoughts are normal at this stage. They are not truth. They are residue. Do not engage them. Let them pass without argument. Your life will answer those questions soon enough. God does not need you to understand everything. He needs you to remain aligned while understanding unfolds. Trust is built here, not in miracles, but in consistency. If you feel called to rest more, rest. If you feel called to simplify, simplify. If you feel a call to withdraw briefly, do so without guilt. Rest is not retreat when it is guided. Archangel Michael guards seasons of quiet because they prevent burnout before expansion. You are being preserved, not delayed. And hear this clearly. Nothing you have aligned with will be wasted. Every boundary will make sense. Every release will reveal its purpose. Every moment of restraint will protect you from something you never saw coming. This is why obedience was required early. Stay alert, but not anxious. Stay aware, but not rigid. Stay grounded, but not closed. Balance is forming in you. As you move forward, you will notice fewer dramatic signs and more steady confirmation. That is how you know this shift is real. Drama fades. Order remains. Hold this posture. What is approaching next will require exactly this level of stability. And when it arrives, you will not panic. You will recognize it. Because you were prepared. My beloved child, what you are experiencing now is not uncertainty. It is recalibration. This is the moment where heaven fine-tunes what was already aligned. The loud corrections are over. The sharp warnings have done their work. What remains is refinement, and refinement always feels subtle but significant. God is no longer confronting you. He is entrusting you. Archangel Michael's presence has shifted again. He is no longer exposing or enforcing. He is sealing. What was corrected is now being protected. What was released is now being closed permanently. This is why you may sense a calm finality around certain things. No anger. No grief. Just at knowing. I'm done with that. That knowing is sacred. Do not reopen what heaven has already closed. Curiosity can become disobedience when it revisits what was clearly removed. You are not meant to re-examine what God has already resolved. This is where many stumble, not in chaos but in comfort. Comfort tempts you to forget the cost of alignment. It whispers, "You're fine now, you can relax." But alignment is not maintained by memory. It is maintained by discipline. Gentle discipline. God is not asking you to be strict. He is asking you to be intentional. You will notice that your desires are changing. What once excited you feels empty. What once drained you now feels unnecessary. And what once intimidated you no longer holds power over your decisions. This is not emotional numbness. This is clarity settling in. Archangel Michael guards this clarity fiercely. Be mindful of what you allow back into your space. Not just people, thoughts, habits, environments, conversations. Peace is fragile when treated casually. Treat it as sacred. There is also a deeper truth unfolding. Some of you are being repositioned quietly. Not upgraded publicly yet, but repositioned internally. Your values are sharpening. Your priorities are narrowing. Your tolerance for misalignment is disappearing. This is preparation for influence. Influence is not about visibility, it is about weight. And weight requires stability. God is stabilizing you so that when influence comes, it does not distort you. You may feel moments of impatience, not desperation, impatience, a sense that you are ready for what's next. That feeling is not wrong, but it must be governed. Readiness does not rush heaven. Heaven releases when structure is complete. Trust the timing. Archangel Michael does not move early or late. He moves precisely. Some of you will receive confirmation soon, not fireworks but reassurance. A conversation that settles something. A door that closes without resistance. A door that opens without struggle. These are signs of divine order. Let them be enough. You do not need dramatic proof anymore. You have discernment. God is also watching how you steward this phase. Are you grateful? Are you grounded? Are you attentive? Gratitude preserves alignment. Complaining erodes it. Be careful not to complain about the very stability you prayed for. Stability can feel boring to a soul addicted to intensity. But intensity is not depth. Depth is quiet, consistent, and unshakable. You are learning depth now. Archangel Michael honors those who protect depth by refusing to re-enter shallow cycles. As this stage settles, you may notice a desire to contribute, to give back, to support something meaningful. That desire is not random. It is alignment expressing itself outwardly. When order is restored internally, generosity follows naturally. This is how heaven flows. Receive, then release. Before moving further, anchor this moment. Type "I stand in divine order" in the comments if this message confirms what God has been doing in you. Blessing code 2284 is now being activated for those who respond in obedience. What you are hearing right now is not meant to stop with you. I am speaking to you directly. This message carries light for others who are still confused, still delaying, still resisting alignment. When you support this mission through super thanks, membership, or PayPal donation in the description, you are sowing into the spread of clarity, not content. As you release your seed, God declares that rivers will open where things felt stuck, and provision will chase obedience. This is not a donation. It is a prophetic response to what you have received. Move now, because heaven responds to movement. I bless every giver with multiplied peace, protection, and divine order in Jesus' name. Remain steady. My beloved one, what is happening now may feel subtle on the surface, but it carries deep consequences beneath. You are standing in a stretch of time where heaven is no longer correcting or warning, but allowing you to move freely within alignment, allowing you to choose without pressure, allowing your character to speak louder than instruction. This is the phase where God watches how you steward freedom after discipline, because freedom reveals maturity faster than rules ever could. You may notice that things are no longer being forced. Situations unfold naturally. Conversations either flow or fade without struggle. Doors either open quietly or remain closed without resistance. This is not stagnation. This is divine neutrality, where heaven steps back just enough to see what you do when you are not being pushed. Archangel Michael remains present, though his presence may feel distant now. A distance is intentional. He steps back not because danger has passed, but because strength has formed. Protection does not always look like intervention. Sometimes it looks like trust. This is where accountability becomes internal. You will feel it when something is off, even if it looks fine on the outside. You will sense when a choice is misaligned, even if it benefits you temporarily. This inner check is not fear. Is discernment fully matured? Do not ignore it. Ignoring it now would cost more than it ever did before, because you are no longer unaware. God is no longer reminding you who you are becoming. He is watching if you will live as that person consistently. There may be moments where you feel a strange stillness, almost like nothing major is happening. Do not misread that stillness as delay. Stillness is where roots deepen. What grows quietly lasts longer than what grows fast. Many people rush out of this phase because it feels uneventful. But those who remain steady here become unshakable later. You are learning to move without urgency, without anxiety, without the need to prove anything. That is strength. A need to rush often comes from fear of losing momentum. But momentum grounded in God does not disappear when you slow down. It stabilizes. You may also notice that fewer people have access to you now. Not because you pushed them away, but because alignment naturally narrows circles. This is not punishment. It is protection. Wide access is dangerous when influence is forming. Archangel Michael guards access carefully. You do not owe everyone explanation. Silence can be obedience when words would create confusion. Learn the discipline of restraint. Not everything needs to be shared, defended, or justified. Some things are meant to be carried quietly until the right moment reveals them. God is teaching you to trust process over applause. At this stage, temptation may return in subtle forms. Not obvious distractions, but reasonable ones. Things that look harmless. Choices that seem small. This is where many misstep, not through rebellion, but through carelessness. Do not confuse calm with permission to loosen discernment. Peace must be guarded. You are not called to be rigid, but you are called to be awake. Awareness is your responsibility now. Heaven has already done its part. What you protect from this point forward determines how clean your next season will be. You may feel moments of reflection, where past versions of you seem distant. Do not romanticize who you were. Honor the growth, but do not look back with longing. What you survived was necessary, but it is not where you belong. God does not bring you this far to circle back. There is also a deeper invitation here, to trust yourself again. Not your impulses, not your emotions, but the version of you shaped by alignment. Many people struggle here because they still identify with their old mistakes. But heaven sees you as refined, not broken. Archangel Michael does not guard what is damaged beyond use. He guards what is valuable. Let that truth settle. If you feel a quiet confidence growing, do not suppress it out of false humility. Confidence rooted in God is not arrogance. It is clarity about who you are and what you are not available for anymore. You are not available for confusion. You are not available for manipulation. You are not available for cycles that God already closed. This posture will feel unfamiliar at first, but it will soon feel natural. As you continue forward, you will realize that many of the battles you once fought are no longer necessary. not because the enemy disappeared, but because authority matured. Some conflicts dissolve when you stop engaging them. This is not weakness. This is wisdom. God is preparing you for a season where your presence alone carries weight, where you do not need to convince, chase, or compete, where alignment speaks before you do. Remain grounded here. Do not rush ahead mentally. Do not pull tomorrow into today. What is coming will arrive at the right time, and when it does, you will recognize it without doubt. Because you were trained. Because you stayed steady. Because you honored alignment when no one was watching. My beloved one, this is the moment where responsibility fully settles on your shoulders, not as pressure, but as ownership. You are no longer being carried by instruction. You are being trusted with direction. God is watching how you choose when no warning follows your decision, when no immediate sign confirms your step, when obedience must come from conviction alone. This is the maturity heaven has been forming quietly within you. What you are stepping into now requires consistency more than courage. Courage ignites beginnings, but consistency sustains outcomes. Many people start aligned and drift later because they mistake stability for stagnation. Do not make that mistake. Stability is not the absence of movement. It is movement without chaos. Archangel Michael remains present, though unseen, ensuring that what was sealed stays sealed. You may not feel dramatic protection anymore, but you will notice something else. Fewer emergencies, fewer emotional spikes, fewer internal battles. That is not coincidence. That is order working as designed. This is the phase where your habits matter more than your intentions. What you repeat shapes what you become. Small choices made daily quietly build momentum. God is paying attention to your routines, your thought patterns, your reactions under mild pressure. These are the proving grounds of trust. You may find yourself wanting confirmation again, wanting reassurance that you are still on the right path. This desire is human, but do not let it control you. Faith at this level does not demand constant validation. It moves forward anchored in what has already been revealed. There will be moments when nothing seems to happen. No breakthroughs. No resistance. Just normal days. These days are not empty. They are forming endurance. Endurance is what carries blessing without collapse. God is ensuring that when expansion arrives, it does not overwhelm you. Be careful not to fill quiet with noise. Not every silence needs a solution. Some silences are invitations to deepen, not to distract. Stay grounded in what you know, not in what you fear might happen next. Your discernment is now your primary guide. Protect it. Do not override it to please others. Do not ignore it to avoid discomfort. Every time you honor it, authority strengthens. Every time you ignore it, clarity dulls. This is not punishment. It is spiritual mechanics. You may notice people reacting differently to you now. Some may feel drawn. Others may feel unsettled. This is not something you need to manage. Alignment naturally exposes misalignment. You are not responsible for how others respond to your growth. Remain humble, but do not shrink. God is also watching how you handle influence, even in small measures. A word you speak, a comment you leave, a decision you model. Influence does not start with crowds. It starts with presence. Be intentional. If this message has been guiding you, grounding you, or sharpening your awareness, engage with it. Like this video, leave a comment declaring your alignment, share it with someone who needs clarity, and subscribe to this channel to stay connected. Join the membership if you feel called to stand closer to this flow. Your support strengthens the reach of this message and keeps this space active for those who are still searching. And before your attention drifts, pause here for a moment, because what comes next explains why the season of quiet obedience is about to produce visible results. Stay with this, because the timing of what you hear next matters more than you realize. God does not waste preparation. Every disciplined moment is storing momentum. You may not see it yet, but movement is building beneath the surface. Like pressure behind a sealed door, release comes suddenly after a period of stillness. Do not rush that release. There is also a refining happening in how you speak. Fewer words, more weight. You will notice that when you do speak, people listen differently. This is not because you changed your tone, but because authority has settled. Authority does not argue. It states and moves on. Archangel Michael honors this restraint. As you move forward, resist the urge to revisit old cycles just to be sure. That curiosity is not wisdom. Wisdom trusts closure. What God closed does not need review. Looking back too long can reopen doors that were sealed for your protection. You are not missing out by moving forward. You are being preserved. This is the stage where gratitude must be intentional. Thank God not just for what you see, but for what you no longer struggle with. That is evidence of growth. Gratitude anchors alignment and prevents entitlement. Continue doing the next right thing, even when it feels small. Heaven measures faithfulness in details, and soon, those details will connect into something undeniable. Stay steady. Stay aligned. The day awake. My beloved one, this is the moment where responsibility fully settles on your shoulders, not as pressure, but as ownership. You are no longer being carried by instruction. You are being trusted with direction. God is watching how you choose when no warning follows your decision, when no immediate sign confirms your step, when obedience must come from conviction alone. This is the maturity heaven has been forming quietly within you. What you are stepping into now requires consistency more than courage. Courage ignites beginnings, but consistency sustains outcomes. Many people start aligned and drift later because they mistake stability for stagnation. Do not make that mistake. Stability is not the absence of movement. It is movement without chaos. Archangel Michael remains present, though unseen, ensuring that what was sealed stays sealed. You may not feel dramatic protection anymore, but you will notice something else. Fewer emergencies, fewer emotional spikes, fewer internal battles. That is not coincidence. That is order working as designed. This is the phase where your habits matter more than your intentions. What you repeat shapes what you become. Small choices made daily quietly build momentum. God is paying attention to your routines, your thought patterns, your reactions under mild pressure. These are the proving grounds of trust. You may find yourself wanting confirmation again, wanting reassurance that you are still on the right path. This desire is human, but do not let it control you. Faith at this level does not demand constant validation. It moves forward anchored in what has already been revealed. There will be moments when nothing seems to happen. No breakthroughs. No resistance. Just normal days. These days are not empty. They are forming endurance. Endurance is what carries blessing without collapse. God is ensuring that when expansion arrives, it does not overwhelm you. Be careful not to fill quiet with noise. Not every silence needs a solution. Some silences are invitations to deepen, not to distract. Stay grounded in what you know, not in what you fear might happen next. Your discernment is now your primary guide. Protect it. Do not override it to please others. Do not ignore it to avoid discomfort. Every time you honor it, authority strengthens. Every time you ignore it, clarity dulls. This is not punishment. It is spiritual mechanics. You may notice people reacting differently to you now. Some may feel drawn. Others may feel unsettled. This is not something you need to manage. Alignment naturally exposes misalignment. You are not responsible for how others respond to your growth. Remain humble, but do not shrink. God is also watching how you handle influence, even in small measures. A word you speak, a comment you leave, a decision you model. Influence does not start with crowds. It starts with presence. Be intentional. If this message has been guiding you, grounding you, or sharpening your awareness, engage with it. Like this video, leave a comment declaring your alignment, share it with someone who needs clarity, and subscribe to this channel to stay connected. Join the membership if you feel called to stand closer to this flow. Your support strengthens the reach of this message and keeps this space active for those who are still searching. And before your attention drifts, pause here for a moment, because what comes next explains why this season of quiet obedience is about to produce visible results. Stay with this, because the timing of what you hear next matters more than you realize. Ra does not waste preparation. Every disciplined moment is storing momentum. You may not see it yet, but movement is building beneath the surface. Like pressure behind a sealed door, release comes suddenly after a period of stillness. Do not rush that release. There is also a refining happening in how you speak. Fewer words, more weight. You will notice that when you do speak, people listen differently. This is not because you changed your tone, but because authority has settled. Authority does not argue. It states and moves on. Archangel Michael honors this restraint. As you move forward, resist the urge to revisit old cycles just to be sure. That curiosity is not wisdom. Wisdom trusts closure. What God closed does not need review. Looking back too long can reopen doors that were sealed for your protection. You are not missing out by moving forward. You are being preserved. This is the stage where gratitude must be intentional. Thank God not just for what you see, but for what you no longer struggle with. That is evidence of growth. Gratitude anchors alignment and prevents entitlement. Continue doing the next right thing, even when it feels small. Heaven measures faithfulness in details. And soon, those details will connect into something undeniable. Stay steady. Stay aligned. Stay awake. My beloved child, this is the threshold moment, the space between preparation and manifestation, where heaven becomes quiet not because it is inactive, but because alignment has been achieved. Silence at this stage is not absence, it is approval. God is no longer adjusting you. He is observing how you stand when nothing is being rearranged around you. This is where spiritual maturity is revealed in its purest form. You may feel an unusual stillness, almost like life has slowed. Do not mistake this for delay. This pause is intentional. It is the calm before visible movement, the breath held before release. God often allows this space so you can recognize how far you have come without needing chaos to validate growth. Archangel Michael remains positioned, not in front of you, not behind you, but above the process, ensuring nothing interferes prematurely. What is coming must arrive clean, without contamination from old reactions, old fears, or old habits. That is why this moment requires composure. You are being trusted now. This trust shows itself in subtle ways. You are no longer pushed by urgency. You are no longer pulled by distraction. You are no longer confused by mixed signals. Instead, you move with quiet certainty. That certainty is not loud, but it is firm. It does not need permission. It does not seek validation. This is where many underestimate themselves. You may still feel human emotions, fatigue, doubt, reflection, but they no longer control your decisions. They pass through without dictating direction. That is authority. Authority is not the absence of feeling. It is the refusal to be led by it. God hath been watching how you manage your inner world. Now he is watching how you steward outcomes. Outcomes reveal character more than struggle ever could. How you respond when things go well matters as much as how you responded when things were difficult. Remain grounded. There may be an invitation soon, an opportunity, a connection, a door that feels right but also carries weight. When it appears, you will not rush toward it. You will assess calmly. You will listen internally. You will move only when peace confirms. That is how you will know the process worked. Archangel Michael guards timing as fiercely as truth. Do not be surprised if what arrives feels simple. God often answers complex preparation with straightforward provision. You were trained for depth, not drama. What comes next may not look overwhelming, but it will be sustaining. This is also the stage where comparison must be resisted completely. Others may appear to move faster, louder, or more visibly. Do not measure your progress against theirs. Your path required refinement, theirs did not. Heaven does not produce copies. It produces precision. You are walking a path that demanded integrity. Because of that, what you build now will last. It will not require constant fixing. It will not collapse under pressure. It will not depend on constant affirmation. It will stand because it was formed correctly. There may be moments when you wonder if more should be happening. That thought is a test not of patience but of trust. Trust does not rush fulfillment. It allows timing to reveal wisdom. Stay anchored in what you know. God is also observing how you handle waiting when waiting no longer feels heavy. This is advanced obedience, remaining faithful when there is no emotional incentive. That faith is rare. That faith is powerful. Archangel Michael honors that posture. You may feel drawn to simplify further. Fewer commitments. Clear priorities. More intentional use of time. Follow that leading. Expansion requires space. What is unnecessary now would become a burden later. Release without guilt. There is also a quiet strengthening of courage happening. Not the courage to confront, but the courage to remain steady when movement begins. Many people are brave in preparation and fearful in execution. You are being trained to be steady in both. When the shift becomes visible, and it will, you will not announce it. You will live it. Those who need to recognize it will. Those who do not are not required to. God does not need you to explain what he has done. You may also notice a return of joy, not excitement, but joy. A grounded contentment that does not depend on outcomes. The joy is confirmation. Joy is the fruit of alignment maintained over time. Protect it. As this season closes, understand this clearly. Nothing you endured was wasted. Nothing you released was accidental. Nothing you obeyed was overlooked. Heaven recorded every quiet yes, every restrained reaction, every disciplined choice. You are standing on the edge of visible reward, but more importantly, you are standing in internal authority. That authority will guide you through what comes next with grace. Remain watchful, not anxious. Remain ready, not rushed. Remain aligned, not distracted. The next movement will not surprise you. You were prepared for it. My beloved child, this is the closing of a cycle and the opening of responsibility. Not responsibility that burdens, but responsibility that honors who you have become. What you are standing in now is not anticipation, it is readiness. Heaven is no longer shaping you for what is coming. Heaven is acknowledging that the shaping is complete. God has watched every quiet decision you made when no one affirmed you. Every boundary you kept without applause. Every moment you chose alignment over convenience. And now, heaven responds not with noise but with trust. Trust is the highest form of promotion. Archangel Michael stands as witness to this completion. His role here is not to warn, not to confront, not to correct, but to guard what had been entrusted to you. Protection now follows you, not because you are weak, but because you are carrying something valuable. You may feel a calm certainty settling into your spirit. Not excitement, not fear, just a deep sense of knowing. That knowing is confirmation. It is the quiet agreement between heaven and your spirit that says, you are ready to move forward without constant instruction. This is where many misunderstand God. They expect fireworks, but God often concludes deep work with stillness. When everything is aligned, nothing needs to shout. From this point forward, your life becomes the message. You will not need to convince others. Your posture, your restraint, your peace will speak. Some will be drawn. Some will be exposed. Some will walk away. None of that is your responsibility. Your responsibility now is stewardship. Steward your peace. Steward your discernment. Steward your access. Steward your obedience. What you protect will multiply. What you neglect will weaken. This is not a warning. It is a principle. There will be moments ahead where old fears try to resurface, not because they have power, but because they are unfamiliar with your new authority. Do not wrestle them. Do not analyze them. Simply do not partner with them. Authority does not argue with what it has outgrown. God is not asking you to be fearless. He's asking you to be faithful. As you move forward, remember this: alignment does not remove challenges. It changes how challenges respond to you. What once overwhelmed you will now adjust around you. What once delayed you will now make way. Not because you are stronger, but because you are positioned. You are no longer waiting for permission. Heaven has already granted it. There is also deeper accountability now. What you choose affects more than just you. Your obedience creates pathways for others. Your discipline creates safety for those connected to you. This is why this process was thorough. Influence without refinement would have harmed both you and them. But now, influence will flow clean. Archangel Michael remains assigned to your alignment. Not visibly, not dramatically, but faithfully. You may not feel his presence daily, but you will see the evidence of protection in what does not touch you, what does not derail you, what does not distract you anymore. That is grace matured. As this message concludes, understand that this was not meant to entertain you. It was meant to prepare you. And if you have stayed through this entire journey, it is because your spirit recognized something true. Honor that recognition. Type "I walk in divine authority" in the comments if you receive this sealing. Blessing code 6149 is now being released over those who respond with obedience and faith. This word was not released casually. It was entrusted. And I am speaking to you directly now. When you support this mission through Super Thanks, channel membership, or PayPal donation in the description, you are not giving to a platform. You are helping heaven reach those who are still asleep, still confused, still delaying their alignment. As you sow, God declares that open heavens will follow your obedience, that provision will meet you at the exact moment you need it, and that peace will guard your household. I hear the Spirit say this is not optional, it is an assignment. Move now, because obedience releases acceleration. Give with authority, and may everything connected to you come into divine order. Remain steady. Remain aligned. Remain awake. What follows after this message is not coincidence. It is consequence of obedience fulfilled.